It
We're
was
here talking about the Commissioner Rizzo, and we have with us, your name, sir?
Gary Adams.
And you were about how old at this time?
When I met them, I was about 18.
So you had met Commissioner Rizzo at this point?
Yes. He was the
Um,
commissioner then.
he wasn't commissioner.
No.
This would have been like 19, maybe
64.
64.
Yes. 65.
Now, what was he like at that time? And you said there were three of them, three musketeers?
The Three Musketeers, yes. It appears as though that their job was to stop the confrontation or the to stop the activity at Girard College. We were demonstrating at Girard College. I was demonstrating with a group called or assisting a group called the Young Militants. Yeah, and those three were three of the people who were responsible for coming down and discouraging us. They were Frank Rizzo, Mears, I forget his first name, but then there was, goodness.
Was that Fensel?
Fensel was the third guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Fensel was out of what we dealt with, Fensel was the nice guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mears, I think Mears was a police captain with a reputation of beating people up. And I think Rizzo was moving up in that genre, and that's how I remember them. You know,
Now,
Rizzo was the guy with the nasty attitude, and Fensel was the guy that I called him Santa Claus because he had a skin condition or something. His cheeks stayed red, and he'd always smile and talk to you. But I never trusted him because I knew he was one of those guys. And those are the three guys that we dealt with. I'll tell you a little bit about them. They threatened people that were out there demonstrating the citizenry. If they caught you, you were definitely going to be treated as a criminal and dealt with severely. One of my friends reminded me of one evening. We would come out in the afternoon and start demonstrating around the wall. There were some of us who were veteran gang members, and they would jump the wall, which they could get on top of the wall. But some other folks realized that the difference was you could jump the wall on the sidewalk side, but the inside drop was about 10 feet.
it was deep.
Yeah. So if you got caught inside, you got treated very badly. So we would come around every day after school. After the kids got off from school, we'd walk the wall. And it was somebody's idea to say, well, the police need to stay there as long as we do, so let's spend the night. So we spent the night, and the motor pool, which was mainly motorcycles, were drawn up to where we were laying on the sidewalk, and turned around so that when we turned the bikes on, the exhaust would hit us. So we laid there in the exhaust fumes for a few hours. That wasn't pleasant. Okay, and that was one of the things that we had to endure. Another thing we had to endure was on the weekends we would stay out there all day, and then the police wives would come up with bologna and cheese sandwiches and lemonade and feed the police. And the police would tell us we better not touch anything. which we didn't, of course. But that was the situation, and the police officers would of course act like, you know, we better not get anywhere near them. So
Were you ever threatened by the fellow who became commissioner, Mr. Frank L. Rizzo, or?
yes, yes. Be perfectly honest with you. I don't know how it happened, but I was on the phone one day, and he was on the other end. And the person that was on the other end let him speak, and he said, I'm telling you, I'm going to put my foot in your ass and kick it until you're out of Philadelphia." And I said, well, I was 19 years old. You know, you do what you want with your foot, but you're not putting it nowhere near me. So that was it. And I'll tell you a little something else that comes to my mind since I talk about that information. Stan Daniels and myself were on were illegally on the telephone because I was on the phone that I was told not to use, and we were having a buddy conversation. So Stan being the comedian that he is, he said, "Gary," he said, "I've been meaning to ask you, did it come yet?" So I had no idea what he was talking about. So I said, "Yeah." He said, "Great." He said, "That's interesting. I was waiting to hear that." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But the difference is it's more than we expected." And he said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's about 5 crates." I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? You take it from there. So Stan said, "That's a lot of firepower." I said, "Yeah." He said, "What'd you do with it?" I said, "I put it in the spot." I said, we're preparing it." So I put it in the spot. So I forgot about that conversation. Now, what happened was about 3 to 6 weeks later, Rizzo decided he was going to do a raid. This was when, after my brother Barry Dawson had accepted some dynamite sticks from a construction worker, which he had no idea what to do with. He was just like, you know, "Give me vitamin, give me this. I'm gonna do something with it. If anybody asks me for it, here it is." So Rizzo had found out about these sticks, so now he's looking for these sticks. You know, I knew nothing about the sticks because I was dumb enough to, you know, do something with them. He raided at least 3 places. He raided the NSM library. He raided the SNCC office, and the apartment where the young militants met most of the time.
Now, the young militants that you were a part of,
I was not a part of them.
you were a part of the,
I was associated with them because I was friends with them. Yeah.
your offices operated out of the Northern Student Movement,
Yes, exactly.
but and you were a part of the young militants then?
I was not a part of the young militants. The problem is back in that day, my friends, the young militants, militants was a Rizzo word. Yeah. You know, they were more young Americans. And I was not an American. I still am not an American. You know, don't ever intend to be one.
This dynamite raid, where Rizzo's people went into 3 different places, like the SNCC office, what became of that? And you were saying, was Tree or was that Barry Dawson or?
Dawkins.
Dawkins.
That was Dawkins. Dawkins and I were really friendly.
He's deceased now, though.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we were really friendly, and we spent a lot of late nights together playing chess. And which kind of put us into Rizzo's thing.
Was Dawkins ever beaten by the police?
Unfortunately, my brother was. From what I understood, he was kidnapped by the police and taken into the woods, beaten, and from what I understand, they ripped off some of his fingernails.
Jeez.
Yeah. I think that had an effect on him. But I think it had an effect on him. I know it affected the heck out of me. I might still be crying. Yeah. So when Rizzo
Can I
did,
have a bite?
when Rizzo did his raids, he raided the SNCC office and put them in kind of some kind of tedious condition. He raided the NSM building
And NSM was located at,
at Ridge and Jefferson. Yeah. Now the NSM building, we organizations had the first floor. The second and third floor were being used by the Dr. Churchfield and his wife, and they raided that household and treated it like, you know what I mean? You understand? It was really rough the way they treated them. We didn't know anything about it until after it was over. That he'd come and brought his people there and raided that place and tried to find stuff. We had two organizations there, two great organizations there. There was the Freedom Library, which had day school and preschool for the neighborhood children, and then we had the Afro Service Union, which was educating grown men, grown people, and we had some training for grown people with the Afro Service Union, which was not Americanized.
you were with the Afros.
Service Union,
Uh-huh.
and I was with the Freedom Library. I was with both of them.
The piece in which the dynamite was found, what did they do with Barry behind that? What did the police do?
Okay, to be perfectly honest, I don't know of any dynamite that was found.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So-
Barry was his if he had any, I doubt if he had any conviction, but what he was tried with was having the dynamite in his possession at some time. Yeah.
And he actually went to trial for this. Interesting.
I know something went wrong with that, but I cannot say yes or no because I was not allowed in it. Yeah.
What else happened around this? Did people leave the city or stay, or were the police after the rest of them? I guess,
Well, I'll tell you the truth.
yes.
As a youngster, there were many people who were trying to be a part of the solution at that time that were not able to remain in their domicilic positions. When we got into stuff, when stuff started really happening, yeah. Truthfully, my positions were like back during the day. You could rent a room for little because I mean Philly was the type of city that you could rent a room and say like staying there for $80 a month or something. And that was the type of that was how I lived. So there was really nowhere where you can come to me and say, well, if you don't get out of here, you know, we're gonna do something to you. I mean, what you gonna do to me? You gonna take $80 a month from me? So, and somebody else, you say, look, if you're hungry enough to rent this man a room for $80 a month, you know, us taking $80 a month from you ain't gonna hurt you. So that type of thing. So I didn't understand why those guys were leaving town, but they did.
Barry and Freedom Smitty and Freedom Frank, and Freedom George, they all left town?
No, George had a George had an apartment he rented from a person whose family was involved in being involved in Frick, George College, and in that area. So George, from what I understand, from what I can understand, George was not forced out of where he was living. And Frank was, I don't know what Frank's situation was, but he was not threatened. And the gentleman known as Freedom Smitty lived with his parents. So I don't think that was the situation. So those of us that were in those type of situations were not threatened, or at least not threatened enough that we left town.
What happened with the whole situation with the dynamite? Was that all just swept under the rug, or was it a continuous thing after that?
I don't think Rizzo was able to. Rizzo, those people were able to do anything, to prove anything really damaging. So, well, I know that if they did, it didn't include me. So, I don't know what that whole thing turned out to be, because I was not actually in that, because when they came to do their raids, the evening that they came to do the raids, I was not available. So I didn't get involved in that. I didn't find out about that till the day after. So I didn't get I didn't get charged with that. Yeah. And I'm sure it's because they couldn't find it, because from what I understand, they had pictures of Barry and I playing chess, with Barry with a bag of dynamite. Yeah. So that never happened.
So they were trying to make out that people in SNCC, the NSM, and other organizations were terrorists.
Yeah, see, you have to understand that Frank Rizzo was not just a police officer, he was a politician. Yeah, so had I been a quarter of an ounce stupider, had he proven that we were going to do something that threatened the city or the populace, then they would have been able to arrest and prosecute us.
So Frank Rizzo was always looking for someone and saying that people were about to blow up the city or burn down the city then.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the reasons you heard that he said that he's gonna do stuff to people, because we were there, we were available to do those
Don't
things.
break the camera.
And that's Rizzo's thing. He wanted us to be caught in situations that that could have meant danger, or something. He could say, well, this is why I'm doing this to these guys. Yeah.
I want to thank you for this interview. This is extremely important, and this is going to back up a lot of data that we have about what we've found so far around the 17th of November, 1967. This unfortunate episode with the dynamite and the dynamite raid was after the 17th of November, but it seems to me that even though this was after that this proves out a lot of what happened at the 17th of November and why the attorneys had put forth such a case. It's very interesting. And your statements and testimony are going to be extremely useful. I do thank you.
Well, I'm glad to help.
And your name again, sir?
Gary Adams.
And you don't mind us putting this up on the internet?
No, my social security number?
No social security numbers. Thank you much, sir.
Okay. Before I let you go, though.
Yes, sir.
I've got three more musketeers I want to tell you about.
Okay.
That folks